Hi, my name is Ben Sterling and welcome to my YouTube channel BS on Your Mind. So today we're going to be answering the subject of how to remove negative thinking and replace it with positive thinking, otherwise known as remapping or modern day mind management. But ultimately, wouldn't it be better if we could get rid of all the negative thinking and just focus on the positive thoughts and build that self-belief which would allow us to achieve our dreams? So today I'm going to cover two topics. One, why we have negative thoughts, and two, what we can do through a very simple exercise to remove the negative and replace it with positive. So to start at the beginning, it reflects on two parts of our mind. One being the unconscious part of our thinking, the other being the conscious. As we are growing up and as we are young, our unconscious mind is forming the blueprint or the foundation of how we think. It is learning ultimately how to protect us and how to survive. As we move into our latter years and through the teen years, our conscious thinking kicks in. It allows us to have more rational thinking. Now, the challenge can come when we then decide we want to go in a particular direction. Perhaps it is standing on a stage and presenting in front of other people, but the foundation, the blueprint, and the unconscious thinking may say, well, hold on. We've experienced this before, and if I remember correctly, that didn't go so well last time, so I don't think that's a good idea. And there you get the struggle between the push and the pull. I want to go in this direction, but I'm being pulled back by my unconscious thinking. So, very simple exercise that we can do together to learn how to change this negative thinking and replace it for positive. But before I do, I want to make you understand the importance between what I like to call R&R, relevance and repetition. Relevance being the weight in which we give something, repetition, how much we think about it. So imagine a negative event in which we give it a lot of weight, and therefore when we are in that environment we think about it a lot, or even in the build up to that environment we think about it a lot. Therefore the repetition. This is a very important point to understand, because ultimately we can use this but just apply a positive thinking over the top of it, and it will give us the result and the effect that we are looking for. So, three very simple stages. Stage number one being just build an awareness of the thoughts that you are having on a daily basis. Now, the easiest way to do this is to use triggers or environments. So, when you're on your way into work, your commute, as you're walking into your office, as you're getting your coffee in the morning, when you're getting your lunch, when you're on your way home, or when you're staring at the TV or the computer screen. Use specific triggers in the day to ask yourself the question, what am I thinking now? You need to understand where your thoughts are going and where you're spending that mental time. What are you thinking about? Ultimately, what I want, stage number two, is for you to get three items that come up the most. This may take you a day, you may already know it. It may take you a week, but the reality is step number two, write them down, okay? When you've written these three things down, now you may decide you want to focus on one, and that is fine. It may be this overriding thought, and therefore let's focus on that first. But ultimately getting them down and then thinking, what is the flip? What is the opposite of these? So let me give you an example from my childhood. I used to suffer from low self-esteem. I used to be more concerned with what people will think about me, what would happen in a certain environment, what happens if I fail. Now, ultimately, I spent all of my focus and therefore energy thinking on all these negatives instead of thinking about me being successful. Now, the end result, well, guess what? It never is successful like you envisage, because you're putting your energy and your effort into the negatives and the failure. Therefore, you're looking for that to reaffirm those initial beliefs you had. So what we want to do is step number three, visualization. Okay, we've got our three items. I was particularly focused on lack of self-confidence, so one of mine was confidence. What I want you to do is spend 30 minutes a day. That's it. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, and 10 minutes in the evening. Now I know you're going to say, oh, seriously, my life, I am so full right now, I don't even have time for anything. If you need 10 minutes in the morning, get up 10 minutes earlier. If you need 10 minutes at lunch, take your lunch into work. Don't go out and get that burrito. Use the 10 minutes at lunchtime. In the end of the day, 10 minutes less Netflix, and then do the exercise. This is the repetition. This is very important. Now, the visualization, what we're going to do, I want you to close your eyes. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to focus on what you're looking to achieve. So to revert back to mine, it was confidence. I wanted to build confidence. That was the flip of where my negative thinking was going. So I focused on how it would feel to be confident. I imagined the scenarios. Environments are one of the biggest triggers we have based on how we feel, act and behave. So I think of certain scenarios, in this case let's use it being on stage, as to where I want to be more confident, and I visualize it. The people that are there, what do I look like? How do I stand? How do I sound? As much detail as I can to give it more color and make it more vivid. Now the most important element is how it feels. How does it feel to feel my end goal, being confidence? And when I get that and I add that to the picture, it creates the weight. Okay, so the relevance. Then by doing it 3 times a day, I create the repetition. Now athletes use this technique all the time. Before they even hit the track or hit the swimming pool, they visualize the event. They visualize how many strokes they're going to do in each race or in each length. When they do this, it is proven that they can be as successful doing the exercise mentally as they can doing it physically. It is the same scenario that we're going to apply for our emotions in this case. Now, what we will see is that we will train the brain to act, behave in a particular way when we are in a particular environment, and therefore it will just do it. This is very simple, but very powerful. Try it for 30 days. You will see that it will dramatically change the approach you have to the situations that hold you back today. Now, I want to give you one more exercise to do. At the end of the day, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions that relate to the 3 topics that you've chosen. And they're going to start with, did I do my best to? Okay, now it's super important that we frame it in this way because it puts the ownership back onto you and not your environment, which is how well did I do? Because ultimately, by asking yourself the question, did I do my best to be more confident? Did I do my best to be more compassionate? Did I do my best to be more courageous? I will put the ownership back on me, and therefore I can't turn around and say, well, you know, I would have done well today, but we had a difficult day in the office and there was a whole load of problems. Because even if there are problems in the environment, did I do my best still means that I could have applied some point within that day, that behavior. And if you say no to each of these for the first 2 days, that's okay. But it will bed in, and it will, the more you hold yourself accountable, the more likely you are to action that change. Now, there is one more simple exercise that I want to add to this that's just as important. We are going to experience or have negative experiences as we go through our life. That's just the modern world that we live in. So I'm going to give you again a very powerful and very simple technique to help with this so it doesn't derail or take you away from the place that we're now going. Now, when you have a negative experience, let's use, for example, the scenario of getting a parking ticket, okay? Common scenario, very frustrating. So when we have this experience, it's automatic, almost, that feeling of, here's the event, here's the thinking that goes with that. But what I want you to look for in any negative event is the gap between the event happening and the emotion that's applied to it. Because the unconscious thought thinking will try and automatically add that feeling. It says, I know what to do here, don't worry, I've got this. And it adds in the, I'm going to kick the tires, I'm going to complain, and I'm going to blame everyone else possible because surely this was not my fault that I didn't put a ticket on my car and pay my parking fine. So it's super important that we actually say, stop. When we have the event, when we've had that event, look for that gap before the emotion is applied and say, stop. And at this point, I want you to ask yourself the question, which is, what can I be grateful for right now? Okay, in this event. Because there are 3 things that I can think of straight away that I can be grateful for in the event of getting a parking ticket. Okay, the first one, quite simply be, I'm grateful I have a car, because if I didn't have a car, it would take me half the day to get to work. Number 2 would be, I'm grateful because actually I can afford to pay for this ticket. Number 3, probably the most important, which you can apply to any scenario, which is, I'm grateful for this opportunity to demonstrate my new thinking. because it gives you the opportunity. Through negative experiences, you will find the opportunity to change the way you react and therefore demonstrate your progress, that you're moving forward, and apply that new positive thinking. So look for the gratitude. It will dissolve that negative feeling immediately and you'll be able to move forward. A bit like dropping a hot potato, right? Straight out the oven. When the negative event happens, drop it. Drop the story and tell yourself the new one. So, very simple exercise. Try this for 30 days. I would love to get your comments. I would love to get your feedback. Please let me know how this goes. Otherwise, thank you for watching.